Welcome to the Kingdom Finance team. My name again is Sebastien Boyer, aka the Approved Guy. I help people to align their money with their values and beliefs in order to become the best version of themselves and to live their best lives with the most impact. This is a quote from Chris Kirkpatrick, the founder of Life 180. He says that financial freedom isn't about chasing returns, it's about creating clarity, control, and cash flow using a proven framework and becoming the kind of person who can sustain it. He also says that clarity plus alignment equals the life you desire. And Romans chapter 12, verse 2 says, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And I highlighted that or made that bold, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. How much money you make is important, but what's even more important is how much money you keep. Sadly, it's estimated that 70% of generational wealth doesn't make it past the second generation, and 90% disappears by the third generation. Most of us store our money in bank accounts with institutions that turn around and put our money to work in their own investments. And then they charge us interest and fees when we need to borrow from them. But what if instead of enriching and empowering the banks of the world, you could store your money in a special account that enriches and empowers you and your family? What if that special account provided you with guaranteed compounding interest growth plus dividends, both tax free, along with the ability to borrow against your money in the account without interrupting the compounding interest growth? What if that special account could protect your money from creditors, lawsuits, and even bankruptcy in most states? What if that special account would act as a true hedge for your investments, or in other instances, as a volatility buffer? What if that special account could be used to pay off debt, as an emergency fund, as an opportunity fund, to supplement your retirement plan, and ultimately as part of the legacy or inheritance that you leave behind? Well, that's a lot of what ifs, but that special account does exist. And banks own more than $180 billion in these accounts. It's been around and practiced by the ultra wealthy for over 200 years. Now, knowing what that account is very important, but knowing how to use it and then using it in a way that increases financial performance is even more important. Just to compare it to if we were both two people were to buy the same vehicle, the same car at the same time, same year, make, model, same financing, same interest rate, same monthly payment, and one of those persons used that car and traveled around the world for 3 years or around the country. They really enjoyed it. It gave them a lot of great memories, but at the end of those 2 or 3 years, there was no return on investment financially. The other person used the same car in their business and it made them $1 million. Now, one of those cars is a liability financially, and the other car is an asset. So obviously, the one who generated revenue, that one leveraged the vehicle and turned it into an asset, where the one who, though you enjoyed it and had great memories, unfortunately, financially, it was a liability. And so the same thing goes for this special account. It's not just getting the account that makes the difference, but it's knowing how to use it and then using it properly. This account is called cash flow hacking. It's properly known as infinite banking in the world. It can be used in your business or your lifestyle. I like to call it your legacy banking system or your banking opportunities, assets, and taxes system, your boat, because you're the captain of your ship. And so you need to have your boat. But what it really is a high cash value life insurance policy with a mutually owned, dividend paying, whole life insurance company designed for maximum cash savings and growth. There are three places in the IRS code, section 72E, 7702, and 101A, that all define the death benefit, the compounding interest, and the dividends as tax free growth. And this account is to be used as the foundational account that all other accounts draw from. Some of the benefits include guaranteed interest plus dividends, tax-free and deferred growth. Your money is liquid and accessible. Loans are protected by the death benefit. There's creditor and litigation protection in most states. It gives every dollar several jobs, and there are living benefits in the case of chronic and terminal illness. And to top it all off, at the end of your life, there's a death benefit, which is your generational wealth. Some of the common uses are as an emergency fund, an opportunity fund, debt consolidation, or as a wealth transfer, college savings fund, business funding, home improvement, travel or vacation, wedding or special events,
We
or
can
just as a supplement to your
get
retirement
my
income.
text right now.
So it's really simple. Your cash flow and or income, you deposit it into the PUA, paid up additions, which is the vault or savings account inside of the whole life insurance policy, where it grows compounding interest and dividends tax free. And when you need to leverage that money to fill in the blank, pay off debt, cars, college, medical, home, travel, etc., then you borrow against it to do that. But just like any bank, when you borrow money, the bank charges you interest and fees, except here, you're borrowing against your own cash value. So when you pay back that money, you're paying it back to your own bank. So you ideally do want to pay yourself back. That's what completes the banking cycle, not just funding the account and borrowing against it, but also replenishing, paying it back. Now, when you couple that with a trust, this equals what I like to call generational legacy. The difference between generational legacy and generational wealth, again, if you remember, generational wealth is typically squandered by the second generation and 90% by the third generation. And that's because there's no rules, there's no laws as far as how that money is dispersed, where generational legacy protects the money inside of these policies along with the trust that protects your assets, avoids probate, and you're able to create rules with laws and if then statements in the trust. So, literally, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 16 through 18 says that long life is in her right hand, and her in this instance is wisdom. The book of Proverbs is always talking about wisdom. So, long life is in wisdom's right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and those who hold her fast will be blessed. Not might be blessed, not could be blessed. This is a definite article. It says that you will be blessed if you have wisdom. And in your right hand, you will have a long life, and in your left hand, you will have riches and honor. Now, let's just think about that in a practical sense, regardless of belief or whether you're thinking of it from the Bible perspective. If you have wisdom, right, then that means from the worldview, you have knowledge and you know how to use it. You know how to put it into play. And so if you're using wisdom, you're going to have a long life because you understand diet, nutrition, health, you understand exercise. So most likely, if you're putting that into play, you're going to have a long life. And if you have wisdom, you understand financial fiduciary, you understand stewardship, you understand you have literacy, you know how to create and preserve and protect wealth. So therefore, you will have riches. But it also says, and honor. So it's not just getting riches, it's riches and honor, which means that whatever riches you accumulate have been accumulated with integrity, which means that you did the right thing even when no one else was watching. Unfortunately, the circumstance and the state of our country, it seems like there's not a lot of wisdom going around because 74% of Americans don't have 2 months of savings to cover an emergency fund, and 40% have no retirement savings. The average American household is paying at least $1,583 in debt every single month. That's just about $19,000 per year. And over the span of 30 years, that equals $570,000. What if there was a way to not just pay off that debt, but to transfer it into wealth? What if you could transfer the debts that you owe from banks, creditors, and vendors to debts that you own inside of your whole life insurance policy? This is called a debt to wealth transfer. When you pay it all off, what's left is a whole life insurance policy with cash value that will continue to grow for the rest of your life instead of an empty bank account. So the question you want to ask yourself and your friends and your family and the people you know are, how much money are you currently saving yearly? And then how much money would you like to save? If you're not saving as much as you'd like, or if you're not saving at all, the question is why? 9 times out of 10, the reason why is because all of the money we want to save is going towards paying debts. So let's change this trajectory for ourselves and for our children and for our children's children. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22 says that a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. At the Kingdom Finance team, we have got you covered. From your legacy banking system or your infinite banking to your debt management strategies, personal and business credit, entrepreneurship, trusts and asset protection, as well as estate planning, as well as professional referrals. This is a picture of me and Chris on my YouTube channel talking about his book, Cash Flow Hacking, which he's releasing a new version of that book. So before we continue, I'd like to go ahead and play this video that Chris has recently created.
Hey there, I want to start by saying something important. If you're watching this video, you are different. I'm not saying you're better than anybody else, but you are different in a powerful way. You're someone who is actively seeking clarity, not just settling for getting by. You're searching for something more, something that's meaningful to you. And that is what Life 180 is all about. You see, most financial advice is designed to do one thing, and that is separate you from your money. You're told to chase returns, buy the product with the highest upside, outsource your future to somebody who knows better than you. But here's the truth. You don't need more products. You need a process. You don't need more information. You need alignment. And that is what the Life 180 framework was built to create. See, at Life 180, we believe that financial success isn't about luck or hustle. It's about the equation clarity plus alignment equals the life you desire. That's the formula. You see, clarity is knowing who you are, what you value, where you're going, and why it's important to you. Alignment is simply removing the resistance, whether that's emotional, financial, or behavioral, whatever it is that's keeping you stuck. When those two things come together, your outcomes become inevitable because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're no longer operating from a place of fear. You're no longer making decisions based on what the world tells you you should care about. You're moving from your truth. You are in alignment. And from that state, you have the ability to build wealth differently. So let me walk you through the 5 pillars of the Life 180 framework. We call it cash flow hacking, and it's a system designed to create clarity, control, and increase contribution in your life. Now, pillar 1 is personal growth and expansion. Everything begins with you. If you're not growing, your finances won't grow either. This is about mindset, identity, and becoming the kind of person who creates the life that you actually want to live. Pillar 2 is debt management. We don't shame debt at Life 180. We use it wisely. We teach a strategy called cash flow indexing to help you prioritize, restructure, or eliminate debt based on how it affects your cash flow, not just based on interest rates. Pillar 3 is savings optimization. And this is where we build your growth fund, which is a combination of emergency savings and opportunity capital. We use specially designed whole life insurance as a foundational tool to help you create safety, liquidity, and long-term control of your capital. Pillar 4 is identifying your investor DNA. This is where everything changes. Instead of chasing hype, you start investing in alignment with your values, strengths, and vision. We help you discover your investor DNA so you can stop asking the question, what should I invest in? And start asking, what is aligned with who I am becoming? Pillar 5 is tax and legacy planning. This is about protecting your wealth through minimizing taxes and creating generational impact and building a legacy, not just one of money, but one of values. We use the Rockefeller method to ensure that your money continues to work long after you are gone. Now, I want to pause here because what I just shared sounds a lot like a financial framework, and it absolutely is. But it's really more than that. It's really a framework for freedom. Most people think money is the goal. It's really not. Money is simply a mirror. It reflects who you are, what you believe in, and what you're aligned with. That's why so many people make good money and still feel broke, still feel stressed, still feel like no matter what they do, it's never enough. And this is what we help you shift. We help you get aligned at the identity level. We help you move from your shadow state, which is the state where you're driven by fear, scarcity, and survival, into your aligned state where you make decisions from your values, your purpose, and your vision from the future. Because when you change who you are being, your financial life changes with it. This isn't a course. This isn't just another financial program. This is a coaching process. It's designed to walk with you through every stage of transformation. Whether you're just getting started, climbing out of debt, building wealth, or preparing for retirement, we meet you where you are and walk you forward. You are not alone in this. We provide community, coaching, content, a proven plan, and much, much more. All this is designed to help you create a life that is meaningful to you. We live in a world that's constantly pulling us out of alignment with our values and beliefs. We're surrounded by social media, politics, fear-based marketing. There are even well-meaning advisors who don't take time to understand your actual goals, giving you advice. You need a way to come back to center, to make decisions from your power, not your panic. And that's what Life 180 gives you. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional, because financial transformation doesn't have to be hard. It simply has to be aligned. It's really not that complicated. So the question isn't, will this work for you? The question is, are you ready to stop guessing and start leading your financial life from a place of clarity and alignment? If so, here's what to do next. Get back to the person who shared this video with you, or click on the link wherever you're watching this to schedule a clarity call. On that call, we'll help you get clear on where you are, what's in the way, and what steps you can take to get in alignment with the life you truly want. There's no pressure, just support, strategy, and clarity, because at the end of the day, you don't need more hustle, you need more alignment. We'd be honored to help you get there. Hey there, I want to start.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. All righty. So, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 says that we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared for us to do in advance. The reason I share that verse is the last statement, that it says that God prepared good works for you and me, for us to do in advance. And what that means is that there are people in the world that are waiting for you to speak to them, to teach them and share with them the information that you have, the knowledge that you have. Whatever experiences you have in life that you've learned from that can help those people, whether it be related to fitness, family, faith, finances, and or freedom. Those are the 5 F's, right? There's somebody right now who basically is waiting for you to speak to them. And if you don't do it, if you don't get out of your comfort zone and start talking to people about the information that you have and sharing the good news that you have, then they're never going to hear it. And they're never going to have the opportunity to change their life for the better. So that means that you and I have a responsibility to take action and start reaching out to people and sharing this information with them. So with that is our presentation. Thank you for joining us. And again, get back to whoever invited you to get into more clarity. If you have any questions, if you'd like to get started, then of course we'll get you send out your agreement. Again, if you want to have that one-on-one to discuss commissions or any details, we can have that one-on-one. Otherwise, this ends our presentation for the evening. Last thing I wanted to mention, I also wanted to bring this in to our fold. This is a nonprofit don't feel obligated, guys, that I strongly believe in. This nonprofit is called Life for the Innocent, and they rescue children from the ages of 1 years old to 15 years old from trafficking. And most of this trafficking, 80% of it is being done in Southeast Asia. So most 80% of the trafficking in the entire world happens in Southeast Asia because of their system. They have a caste system which discounts and discredits anyone who is impoverished, sick, or is causing hardship in their families. They believe that that was a curse, and they basically their system says to step over them, ignore them, get rid of them so that you don't keep that curse. And unfortunately, little children are being left out on the street. They're being sold into brothels at the age of 1 and 2 years old. And this nonprofit is rescuing those children, restoring them to health, and helping them to become functioning human beings. So you can check it out. It's actually on the Whole Life Saving Strategy website. So again, everyone who's going to be a part of the team, you're going to get this landing page for your own use right away. You get that for free. There's no monthly fees or dues to be a part of our team. And down at the bottom, I added the link there for the Life for the Innocent nonprofit, and it takes you to my fundraising page. My goal is to raise $7,425 to rescue these children. So if it's in your heart, check out the nonprofit. Definitely vet any nonprofit before you give. Make sure you're aligned with it, and it's something that you want to support. But this is one that I believe in, and I just wanted to bring that into the front. But with that said, thank you all for spending the time.